Shadid is saying, what do you think of Ben Shapiro? When I'm looking for someone who is more of a, I guess, principled conservative, that's not really the right word for it though. Like they have that branding of, you know, like this, the formality kind of. I think conservatives tend to like a more formal look more. So he gives me that flavor when I'm looking for conservative commentary that isn't from a Trumper, like Trumper Republicans. They don't even, I mean, a lot of them are so deep that they don't even believe in the GOP anymore. They have abandoned the GOP at this point. They're just Trumpers. They're like their own thing. So when I'm looking for someone to give me conservative commentary who's not a Trumper, Ben Shapiro is one of the people I go to, because I think he gives me a good taste of like kind of what that local zeitgeist, so to speak, is like. He falls into that category of like people who think that just like gender nonconformity is shaking the foundations of Western civilization, and I think that's insane. Like it's an existential threat. But it's pretty funny to see the random things that he just loses his mind over. What do you think of Ben Shapiro, Armin?
I think he's full of crap, but I do listen to him sometimes. Because when me and Susanna, when we're listening to like conservatives or left-leaning people, it's not because we agree with them. It's because we're trying to get an understanding of what the conversation is like when I listen to Islamic channels, when I listen to Christian channels, or you know, any other, you know. But I think Ben Shapiro is a good channel, you know, to just get an understanding of what the conversation is on the right. I think Ben Shapiro is a good channel. I do think that a lot of, when people speak fast and with a lot of confidence, a lot of people assume that they know what they're talking about and they're making a lot of sense. One advantage that we get when we listen to all sides is we notice how each side is framing the conversation, and they're being dishonest with their audience, right? So when we listen to mainstream media, then the left-leaning commentary and the right-leaning commentary, sometimes when we listen to the left-leaning commentary, we can see like, ooh, that was like not a very honest framing of that situation, and you left this part out, and you're not being very honest with your audience here, right? So we notice that when we're watching some left-leaning channel. And then when I watch Ben Shapiro, for example, or some other right-leaning channel, I notice that as well. They're like, sometimes I feel like, oh, you slimy piece, like you're being so slimy here, because they say something and they strawman the other side, and they just like, for example, Ben Shapiro, like, if you're like watching Ben Shapiro and you're not listening to the other side, you are being misled. You are being misled because, and they cheer on, because like they take the other side, they make what they're actually saying in the most ridiculous format of it, or they're the most ridiculous people on the other side, and they misrepresent. Like, for example, if you listen to Ben Shapiro, something that is happening, they strawman the left-leaning people, or they find somebody, the most ridiculous person that they could find from the other side, and then they tear that apart in front of their audience, and their right-leaning audience are like, yes, oh my God, that was beautiful. Thank you so much, Ben Shapiro. You're so wise. You're so smart. Look at this ridiculous left-leaning people, and you just destroy them in front, and you don't listen to the other side. So you think it's so easy for you to think that this person that you're listening to you is being so smart, because you listen, because all you know about the other side is the things that the way he's presenting them to you, right? So be careful not to listen to these people. But also because if you start listening to all sides, you start noticing how biased these content creators are. Okay, one reason why I like us to, because I know I'm probably going to do the same thing. That's why one thing I like to do is to do these live chats, live streams with you guys in the live chat, so that if I do that unintentionally, some of you could call me out on it, right? Like, for example, if I'm misrepresenting somebody from an Islamic channel or an Hindu channel, somebody in the live chat could be like, but Armin, that's not what they said. Like, so you guys are responsible for not making sure that me and Susanna don't do that to you guys, right? And we'll try to highlight you guys, even if we disagree with you and like we completely destroy in the live chat. We still need you guys to like call us out if you think we're ever doing something like that. But go on, Susanna.
Yeah, no. One thing that I think he does, that because I've started to watch more of his content recently, I like him because I think he has a better understanding. And I mean, like, broadly speaking, okay? Like, last night we watched a video of Officer Tatum and Ben Shapiro reacting to the same piece of news, which is this thing called, like, the 8 white identities that was introduced in, like, one school in New York. And watching them both react to the same piece of news was very interesting to me, because I was able to tell that Ben Shapiro did have a better understanding of the intellectual framework of some of where this 8 white identities was coming from, but like barely. But he had some nuance and like understanding of it, whereas like Brandon Tatum was just like, they just want you to hate white people. But what Ben Shapiro always does is he will take something that is usually like a kernel of legitimate criticism that I could be like, I like see where he's coming from, or especially with the anti-woke stuff. I'll be like, yeah, this is patently absurd. But he'll go, and this is why the liberals want to destroy everything. He turns it into, he will immediately turn the smallest kernel into liberal scaremongering. So like it's 8 white identities things. This happened at one school in New York, right? And I think it might have even been a private institution. I'm not positive. Yeah. And he was like, so this is what's going to happen to your children under the education department of the Biden administration. I'm like, do we know that? Like his criticism of the framing of equity in this specific situation is good, but better. But the rest of it, he turns everything into liberal scaremongering.
Sometimes I feel like, because I know that these people are going to find every single instance of some ridiculous wokey stuff, sometimes I feel like, well, that means that there's not that many of them, because I'm pretty sure every time they happen, they will find it and they will highlight it, right? So, for example, like there's this thing that's saying like, oh, if you're not anti-white, you're basically, I don't know, that it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. And they bring it and they highlight it and they make fun of it, but then they exaggerate, like this is the liberal, like this, like they exaggerate, they generalize, they exaggerate how big of a deal it is. But at the same time, to me, it has the opposite effect, because to me, like, okay, in the past months, they found 2 all over the country. They found 2 examples like this all over the country. So that means that this whole wokey stuff can be that high, that it can be that as big as they. I mean, it is. I'm not saying we should dismiss it, but I'm pretty sure, like these right-wing channels, when I see every time it happens, they all highlight it. Like not all of them, but half of them start highlighting it, right? So I know they're not gonna miss it when it happens. So I like, okay, is this all then, right? So it can't be that big. So for me, it has the opposite effect.
Hey guys, if you're a fan of blasphemy and sexy Kali, like me, then that means that you probably want more blasphemous art. Well, I have good news for you. If you subscribe to our newsletter, link in the description below, then you get a free booklet of some of the tastiest blasphemous art available today. So if you want some of this delicious blasphemy, and we're so generous that we update it for you guys weekly for free, all you have to do is sign up for our newsletter below. You can also go to blasphemousart.com/ebook. That's blasphemousart.com/ebook. Sign up with your email, and you get free gifts of this tasty blasphemy. What could be better? So make sure you sign up. Link below.